Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons to the Suns for Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. Welcome to the Saturday Slam and Jam. I'm your host, Andrew Schleck. Go to theathletic.com/NBA show and get The Athletic for $1 a month for 6 months. Trade season is upon us, Al. There's a lot going on in the NBA. We will get to that. But first, tell me what happened in the NBA this week.
Well, Andrew, it all started on Friday, but I have way too much to talk about on Saturday, so we're skipping Friday on
Get out of here, Friday.
NBA fans woke up on Saturday morning to learn that things weren't as they appeared in Memphis. Reddit user AdMassive6666 posted a damning analysis of Jaren Jackson Jr.'s home road splits on the NBA subreddit. The Defensive Player of the Year leader saw an 89% increase in blocks and 120% increase in steals when playing in Memphis compared to playing on the road. The NBA world was stunned. In response, Caesar Sportsbook removed Defensive Player of the Year betting off the board. Had a massive conspiracy been revealed? Well, as it turns out, Andrew, all NBA games are recorded. You can watch them. And enough people went back and watched the plays in question and came to the same conclusion that there wasn't a lot there. Which brings up the obvious question, was this all a ruse to get people to pay attention to how good Jaren Jackson Jr. has been on defense this year? Andrew, do you remember the poster's username? AdMassive6666. Was this post just a massive ad for Jaren Jackson Jr.? Andrew, what's the significance of the number 6666? The devil? No, Andrew. I Googled it. I found some random numerology website that claims that the number 6666 is an angel number that represents abundance, prosperity, and good luck. Abundance, blocks and steals. Prosperity, Grizzlies have the second best record in the West. Good luck. What happened later in the week? Jaren Jackson Jr. was selected to his first All-Star game.
Wow.
We've been taken for fools, Andrew, and fell right into this angel's trap. After we all wasted our Saturday mornings, it was time for Denver versus Philly and a matchup of two of the leading MVP candidates, Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. Now, both centers played well in the first half, but Denver went into halftime with a 15-point lead. But in the second half, Philly stymied Jokic with PJ Tucker, and on the other end, it was all Embiid, who finished the game with 47, 18, and 5, including 4 threes, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. The Sixers continue their hot streak, having moved within a half game of Milwaukee for second in the East. Actually, it may be a full game now. Rivalry week continued with a Lakers-Celtics nightcap. The game had 19 lead changes, 15 ties, and came down to the final moments of the game with the game tied at 105. LeBron James drove for a layup. And as the replay showed, LeBron was clearly hit on the arm by Jason Tatum, but the foul wasn't called. LeBron collapsed to the floor in agony. The always resourceful Patrick Beverley grabbed a photographer's camera to show the referee a photo of the foul, an act which led to his ejection. In overtime, the Celtics pulled ahead and won 125-121. Now, in response to the missed call, the NBA Referees Union tweeted out the following message, quote, "Like everyone else, referees make mistakes. We made one at the end of last night's game, and that is gut-wrenching for us. This play will weigh heavily and cause sleepless nights as we strive to be the best referees we can be." Seems a little much, don't you think? A little dramatic. And listen, the only people who should be sleepless over this Lakers team are the people in the front office who have let the season get so far away from them that every loss feels like 10 losses. They should be releasing a statement like this after all these dumb losses. All right, on to Sunday, where Giannis dropped 50 in a 135-110 victory over the Pelicans. It was Giannis's 4th 50-point game in his career. Stay tuned for more of that. The Pelicans, meanwhile, had lost 10 in a row by the end of the week, bringing them all the way down to 26-27, 10th in the Western Conference, essentially tied with the Portland Trailblazers, who are in the 11th spot.
Yikes!
On Saturday, the day you are listening to this, the Pelicans are playing the Lakers. If the Pelicans lose, they will have the exact same record as the Lakers, which sounds impossible, but is true.
How is that
on
possible?
Monday, it does. How is that possible? On Monday, the Wizards beat the Spurs 127-106. It was the first time the Wizards had won in San Antonio since 1999. 22 straight losses until this week.
Wow.
Now, this wasn't a great game or anything, but I wanted to fit the Wizards in here somewhere because they are the current holders of the longest winning streak in the league, tied with Milwaukee, having won their last 6 games. Wizards fever is sweeping the nation. And as a result, the Wizards are 2 games under 500 after that good stretch, but have moved up to the 9th spot, a game and a half up on the 11th. On Tuesday, the Lakers got some consolation for their overtime loss to the Celtics by beating the Knicks in overtime, 129-123 in Madison Square Garden. The Knicks came back from 6 down with a minute and a half left to send the game to overtime. Andrew, I was home watching this game. They got up by 6 with a minute and a half left. I decided to go pick up my burrito. I said, I'm good. I can go get my burrito now.
No.
Everything will be fine. I came back and it was in overtime, but it was the Lakers who held on for the win. LeBron had a 28-10-11 triple-double. And by the end of the week, he was only 63 points behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the all-time points record. On Wednesday, the Minnesota Timberwolves won an overtime thriller over the Warriors. D'Angelo Russell scored 14 of his 29 points in the fourth quarter to bring the Wolves back from 11 down in the quarter and force overtime. Despite losing D'Lo to fouls early in overtime, the Wolves continued their good play, finishing off the Warriors 119-114. Now, it hasn't always been pretty, Andrew, but the Wolves have now gone 12-5 in the year 2023, which is the 3rd best record in the new year. That's pretty cool. They are 28-26 overall and have moved up to 6th in the West. And finally, on Thursday, the All-Star reserves were announced. In the East, we've got Bam Adebayo, Jaylen Brown, DeMar DeRozan, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, and Julius Randle. In the West, it's Paul George, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jaren Jackson Jr., Damian Lillard, Lauri Markkanen, Ja Morant, and Domantas Sabonis. Just some of the names that did not make the All-Star game include people like James Harden, Trae Young, Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, Jalen Brunson, Pascal Siakam, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Davis, and Devin Booker. What a year for snubs, Andrew. Also on Thursday, I want to throw this in, Dylan Brooks. He hit Donovan Mitchell in the Nards. He set off a bench-clearing scuffle in an eventual Cavs win. And Giannis, remember he dropped 50 earlier? He dropped 54 on Thursday in a 21-point comeback over the Clippers. What a week it was, Andrew.
What a week it was. And I thought, we're going to do a pod about trades. Thought this should be fun. It's always fun to talk about fake trades.
Love trades.
And then at 12:52 p.m. Central Standard Time, we got a tweet from our very own Shams Charania with breaking news. Brooklyn Nets All-Star Kyrie Irving has requested a trade. The franchise has been informed that Irving prefers to move on ahead of the February 9th trade deadline, or he will leave in free agency in July. He followed up by saying that Kyrie was recently offered an extension with guarantee stipulations. Sources said the offer, which was declined, was not well received. And then Mark Stein has reported that the Mavs and Lakers will be engaging with the Nets ahead of the trade deadline. So what a disastrous time for the Nets. Everything seemed good. This is what I don't understand. Like just 2 weeks ago, Kyrie was talking about why is it different this time with Durant out than last time? He said, everybody's all in. There's nobody that's not all in. Turns out it's Kyrie that's not all in. Liar. I just don't understand. He needs somebody in his ear just saying, hey, listen, dude, you are on your way to a max contract this summer. Just play basketball. Win. Even if you only win one round in the playoffs, you're probably getting the max, man. Just chill. Just chill. You can walk. You can do whatever you want. But just play because you're really good. You've been playing so well. Things have been great. Just hang on, man. Just hang on. And he can't hang on. And he's demanding a trade. And I've got a ton of trades I want to dish out to you, Al. But when you look at it, it's like, who is possibly giving up anything of like significant value for this guy?
Well, this is why this is so frustrating because Shams was on the Pat McAfee show. He might be on it right now. And they were asking him, what other teams other than the Lakers And Sean's response was like, "Oh well, it's the Lakers, I assume." Like, if you're not the Lakers, how could you possibly trade for Kyrie, knowing that he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year? Like, the idea that the Mavs are involved, like, they're confident enough in bringing in Kyrie that they don't think he's just going to walk this summer if the Lakers have the available cap space.
Yeah.
That's why this is so frustrating. And, this trade deadline was looking like it could potentially be a dud. There weren't going to maybe not be any huge deals. And
Yeah.
so I know beggars can't be choosers, Andrew, but oh man, I was not expecting this. And I'm not thrilled to talk about these deals because I think it's really hard to come up with a trade that makes sense for both sides. And the worst part of this for the Nets, if they had just been some middling team throughout this entire season, as they were at the beginning, when they were down in the play-in conversation, okay, fine. What are you losing? You can, trade them to the Lakers, try to get those picks. You'll figure something out. But the fact that they were so good during that one stretch when they started rising up the standings, it does feel like you are losing something as the Nets. You are losing an opportunity potentially by if you agree to whatever trade you're going to do with Kyrie.
Yeah.
So anyways,
It's
let me
crazy.
hear what you got, Andrew.
So you have to have one of these three qualities to trade for Kyrie. Okay.
You have to be the Lakers.
Well, we'll get there. A very strong organization with a clear pecking order. That's one of them. Another quality that you only have to have one of these, is just absolute desperation with no self-control and no self-reflection at all in your organization.
And no self-respect. I agree. Okay.
No self-respect. Or number three, you have to be the Lakers. Okay. For it to make sense for you to do this.
Right.
The Lakers are the odds-on favorite. So here's the Vegas odds. Lakers 2-1, Miami 3-1, the Mavs 4-1, Clippers 4-1, Bulls 7-1, Hawks 7-1. What in the world would the Hawks do? That's just like mind-boggling. Utah, what 8-1?
Yeah.
Minnesota, we're just gonna go double down. Like, everything's going so poorly. Let's just add Kyrie to the mix. Like, let's just double down. No, Sacramento Kings, please. And the Celtics 100-1, which I feel like is only there just for comedic purposes only, right?
I wonder how that does work. Like, is it just an algorithm, or is there an actual human who says, "Hey, we should put the Jazz. We think Danny Ainge might want to reconnect with Kyrie."
Dude, I have no clue. It makes no sense. Trade number 1, Nets Clippers. The Clippers get Kyrie Irving and Patty Mills, and the Nets get Marcus Morris Sr., Reggie Jackson, and Norman Powell. Who says no, Al?
Brooklyn. Like, if for all of these, I would say for most of these deals, do we agree that if KD comes back and is healthy and Kyrie is just playing like he has been, they could get back to where they were earlier in the season when things were looking really good? And if they're playing like that, they are, I don't know if we want to call them a contender, because there are other things. You still have like the Ben Simmons question, but they're a good team who could win a couple playoff games, right?
I guess the question is, like, do you trust Kyrie to even like give everything he's got for you in the playoffs?
Well, like, if I did before, I guess I don't now.
That's like part of me that's like, okay, like those are actually like 3 useful players. Like, Reggie's not very good. He's fine. Marcus Morris, Norman Powell. Dude, I don't know. I would trust those guys more than Kyrie on my team at this point in time.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just like, by that downgrade, I mean, Kyrie's obviously the best player in that deal. You're giving up any hope of competing, like actually contending this year. It's over. And maybe it was already over before.
So it is. Let me just clue you in on something, Al. It's over anyway.
Okay, fine. So if it's over, then no. Why am I trading for random rotation guys? Like, get me to the deals where I'm getting something actually juicy, because clearly I need to start thinking about the future.
Here's the problem. You're not getting anything juicy.
Come on, give me a little something.
Who is giving you anything juicy in any of these deals?
Well, the Lakers. Why would the Lakers not?
I mean, if I'm the Lakers, I'm not giving you both picks. We'll get there. Okay. Chicago is on this list.
Okay.
You're obviously not going to like this deal either if you didn't like the first deal. Okay. The contract of Lonzo Ball.
No.
Alex
No.
Caruso and Kobe White for Kyrie. If
No.
I'm if I'm Chicago, like I'm not like I'm not thrilled with the Zach LaVine deal. Maybe this is a way to like shift away from that 5-year Zach LaVine deal where you
Mhm.
just swap him and LaVine and you're just like, well, let's just see what happens. Like I'd actually be fine with that. And then if you're Brooklyn, that might be the best you can do,
So
honestly.
if it's going to happen, I feel like it has to be a deal like that where Brooklyn can at least tell themselves maybe we got someone who could be, approach that level of Kyrie. And
Yeah.
and Zach LaVine obviously has had the injury issues. People are worried about his contract long term, but he's still young enough where you can talk yourself into that. Because if it's
Yeah.
not a deal like that, I don't want to do one of these deals like you just said. Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. I mean, Alex Caruso is obviously like a big name on the trade market right now, but
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere. It's over
Yeah.
at that point.
Once again, it's already over. Like it is over. Do I have to tell you this after every trade that it's already over?
Okay, well, if it's over, let's move on. We have to move on.
It's
Then.
already
All
over.
these deals are not moving on.
Okay. The Knicks step up to the plate.
Okay.
Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, Detroit's 23 first rounder, Washington's 23 first rounder.
And you're going to play Kyrie and Jalen Brunson as your
Dude,
backcourt?
yeah, yes, sure.
Okay.
If you're again, let me tell you about the criteria that you have to
No, I
qualify
know.
for. Absolutely desperate, no self-control, no self-reflection as an organization or self-respect is the category I would put this one under.
Yeah, I mean, so many of these are just going to be no immediately from the Brooklyn side for me.
Yeah.
Because I almost just would rather just play it out and just have them leave this summer than just take back a couple of random guys that aren't going to really move the
this
needle
one
in any
is
way.
the picks. Like those guys obviously are not helping you all that much, but it's the picks.
I know.
It's like you just get 2 picks.
As you and I both know, though, those picks are pretty heavily protected. And you said the Washington pick, so the best that can be is like 9 in 2026 or something.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the
yeah.
Detroit pick, the best can be is like 11 or something.
Yeah.
So neither of those are particularly juicy. But at least you're getting to a place where I'm starting to think about the future, which I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Dallas.
Yeah. What's going on here?
It's tough because I don't think like Spencer Dinwiddie would go in a deal. So it's like you have this money. One, if you're Dallas, like I'm not giving up anything of significant value for Kyrie Irving. Like it's just like, hey, you're desperate. I'm just giving you some contracts basically, and I'll give you a protected first. So it'd have to be, and if I'm Brooklyn, like this is just a straight no. But like Bertans, Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Oh my
like
gosh,
like a top
that is
4
so much
protected
future money that you
dude.
just dumped onto Brooklyn.
I know.
Just go to the next one. Dallas is a no. They're not.
I have a
they
hard
do
time.
Not have a deal.
I know. I have a hard time concocting a deal that makes sense for both sides here. Because they don't really have anything. They have no juice.
I mean, they have juice because they do have their future picks, but like you said, like that is such a huge risk.
Yet. They can't use them all yet. You can only trade one right now because of the pick that's owed.
I thought you could trade 2, but either way, it doesn't matter because that would be such a huge risk. Like they are the type of team who could make an all-in superstar trade. You cannot make that trade for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
obviously.
Cannot. No, I would say be patient. Be as patient as you can, Mavericks. Don't do this. Okay, Miami Heat are also on the list.
Yeah,
from Vegas.
They're on the list. Yeah.
What about Kyle Lowry and Dwayne Dedman for Kyrie?
You can't give me any picks because Miami's a team who could at least tell themselves we can convince Kyrie to stay beyond this year if that is something that they're interested in.
I know.
They have to be willing to give up more than that because the Lowry deal, that's not a good deal for Brooklyn. And Dwayne Dedman's just filler.
He's filler.
You have to throw some picks in there, and they can do it. They do have picks.
Yeah, they have picks. Well, how many picks would it take? What if it was like one top 4 protected first rounder?
No, two.
Two? Dude, this is Kyrie Irving on an expiring contract. No way.
Then I'm just
No
keeping
way.
him. I'm just keeping him, play out the
Well, then
season.
good luck because it's over anyways. I'm gonna say it after every trade. It's over anyways. Okay, last one. Desperate team. They want to make they want to make a splash this summer. Might as well make the splash now.
Okay.
The Houston Rockets. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what's this gonna be?
There's not a lot. There's not a lot to give here because they're not giving you any of their young guys, right?
Eric Gordon. They can't spare one young guy.
What young guy would you want from
I
the
don't even know.
Rockets?
I'm assuming Eric Gordon's in this deal. Who else are you?
Because like you're not getting Jabari. What if we gave you Tari Eason? Are you into that?
Sure.
Okay. How about
That's the first time I've been mildly excited.
Eric Gordon, Tari Eason, and Jay Sean Tate for Kyrie?
You know what? From Brooklyn's perspective, that might be my favorite one so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and this is a really interesting one too, because I do think Houston would give him the extension that he wants. Because they want to get out of the tank. They're done. After this year, they're done.
They really want a level-headed vet who can come in to mentor the young guys on their team.
No,
So
they are in. They are in the absolutely desperate, no self-control, no self-reflection, and that's who they are. That's who they are. And then you have the Lakers. Okay, you could do Kyrie, Patty Mills for Westbrook. How many? If you're Brooklyn, do you have to have both picks, or would like one pick satisfy you?
I think you have to have both picks because they're so far out. Like you're not even getting the benefit of those picks for 4 years. I mean, obviously you can use them in a subsequent trade, and maybe maybe you could construct a 3-team deal where those picks are actually used for Brooklyn in the 3-team deal so that they can get back a real player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that deal that was being thrown out where they were going to send those picks unprotected for Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah.
You could construct a 3-team deal where those guys are instead going to Brooklyn. I don't even know if that all works, but if it was something like that, that would make me more interested as the Nets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is probably still because I think if you're the Lakers, you can talk yourself into the Kyrie LeBron pairing, and certainly talk yourself into the Kyrie LeBron Anthony Davis pairing. They don't have self-control. They actually occupy 2 of these categories, and that I don't think they have self-control or the ability to be like super self-reflective. And so I think that I think they would give him the extension that he wants without the stipulations. And, you know, I think this is the most likely deal too, where if you're Brooklyn, well, this is just comedy, like high level NBA comedy that you're reuniting LeBron and Kyrie and reuniting Russ and KD all in one trade.
And we haven't even talked about that. Like if KD wanted out last summer, why are we not? I mean, if this is really happening, are we just waiting on the Shams tweet that Kevin Durant has also asked for a trade before next week?
Yeah, what is Durant? Yeah, what's Durant doing with this? I guess it depends on what they get back. And as we have discussed, I just have a hard time believing that somebody's actually going to give like a true player of consequence. I think Zach LaVine is the one that like, okay, that might be the only one that you could truly talk yourself into. And I think if you're the Bulls, you need to do something. I would throw up if I were a Bulls fan, and that's what happened to my franchise. But I don't know, man. These are the deals that are on the table, I think.
Before we end this, I just want to say I genuinely feel bad for Nets fans who put up with so much over these last couple of years, finally had a nice stretch of relatively drama-free basketball. You know, our friends, the Glue Guys, just having normal pods talking about basketball.
Great shows. Yeah.
KD was going to come back soon. They're going to get back to their winning ways. Hey, let's see what happens in the playoffs. And 1 week before the trade deadline, everything blows up. And as you said, it's over. And maybe it was always over, but it definitely feels over now.
It didn't feel over until 12:52 p.m. Central Standard Time today. I would have actually given them a chance in the playoffs with the healthy
Yeah.
Kyrie, healthy KD. Now with this mess, I'm sorry. I don't even care if maybe they do the same thing they did before and they were just like, we're not trading you. You can walk if you want, but we're going to keep you. I still think it's over. I just don't think you can go into the playoffs like this and win in with the East as strong as it is. I just don't think
Yeah.
you can do it. Okay, Al, I told you earlier that I didn't have any trades with any juice to them. I
Yeah.
lied. This one's got a little
You
bit of
found
juice
some
to it.
juice.
There's some juice. There is yet some juice to squeeze.
Okay.
And it's coming from the Suns. So it's been reported that the Suns are interested in
Wild.
Kyrie. And so this is a mega blockbuster trade that would shift the league and also keep the Suns in contention, keep the Nets in contention.
Now, Andrew, that's
So
interesting that you say that because this whole time you've been telling me that it's over for the Nets, even if they had Kyrie. So why is it keeping the Suns in contention if they're now trading for the same guy? Very interesting.
it feels over for the Suns. I think this will be an admission that things are over in Phoenix. I don't. If I first of all, if I'm Phoenix, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I was
I'm
kind of
not.
shocked when that report came out. That was Sean's
I am
too. This isn't like
no.
this was
This
Sean saying
Shams
this.
report. I am not even thinking about this. I'm putting my phone on silent and I am throwing it into some lake that's in Arizona. Is there a lake in Arizona? I don't know. I'm throwing it in. I'm saying just stay away. I'm not doing this. But this has some juice. Okay. Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons to the Suns for Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton.
Wait, why? I love how you tried to sneak Ben Simmons in there. I thought this was going to be a straight like Kyrie and CP3 swap.
Well, first of all, you can't do them straight up because Chris Paul
What's the
makes
difference?
quite a bit less. Chris Paul's at 28, Kyrie's at 36.
Oh, okay. So just throw in Jay Crowder or throw in Dario Saric.
You know what? I thought about that, but I also thought about how can we also help them with this DeAndre Ayton mess that they've created.
Oh yeah, by giving them the Ben Simmons mess.
Insert Ben Simmons into this deal.
I was actually prepared, Andrew, because I thought you were just going to do a basic like Kyrie for CP3 thing to say,
Yeah.
you know what? If the Nets do want to remain competitive, the way Chris Paul's playing right now, that actually like might make some sense for them.
Yeah.
Now, I still don't get it from Phoenix's perspective, but whatever.
Yeah.
I was excited. I was going to say, oh, you know what? This one might actually make a little sense. And then you try to turn this into a get off
I
Ben
honestly,
Simmons too.
I got really greedy with the amount of juice that I found here in Phoenix.
I love how you started this segment saying like no one's giving up anything for Kyrie, and then you include Ben Simmons, who last week we talked about has like no trade value.
Okay, but a real serious one would be Jay Crowder and Chris Paul for Kyrie.
If I'm Brooklyn, of all the ones you've told me, that
Yeah.
makes the most sense.
Yeah, that one has the most juice to it.
If they really
Yes.
believe that they can hold on to Kevin Durant and that he's not, by the time we release this pod, he hasn't also demanded a trade.
Yeah, that
in
one
scenario
could
that he's staying. That one feels good to me.
yeah keeps KD in town. Again, I'm not exactly sure why Phoenix does this.
No idea. It would terrify me that they were included in that tweet if I was a Suns fan. Why?
I know, because the guy that was like credited with like turning your team around. And I know that like Chris Paul, there's like a shelf life to Chris Paul. Like I'm actually a believer in a lot of that stuff. But also, we're talking about Kyrie on an expiring contract. That worries me. And maybe they're scared of the extension that Chris Paul has. Maybe they just don't think it's going to work out. Fine, whatever. This would not be the way that I go. I would not do it. I don't think it's a good idea. But this is almost just like, hey, here's a little bit of hope thrown out to the Nets fans. Like, hey, there's hope for something there. Because like Jay Crowder would probably be like, great, I get to go play with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. Cool. I get out of this situation. And it basically is just a straight swap because you haven't had Jay Crowder anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I that's the only juice that I've got here for you, Al.
I think that one's fine. You set me up a little bit with the Ben Simmons. Never in a million years would I have thought you were going to include him in the steal. But now that we've settled down a little bit, I think
Yeah.
that is I wouldn't say a fair trade because again, don't know why Phoenix is doing it. But
Uh-oh.
if Brooklyn came out of this whole mess, getting back Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, you have to count that as a win, considering everything.
Today's show is brought to you by Chime. Visit chime.com/NBA show for more information. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it checking up on your credit score? Yeah, I didn't think so. Well, at Chime, that's exactly what they do for you. With their secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build credit with your own money. Chime reports your payments to credit bureaus to help you build credit over time. Their members see an increase of 30 points on average. All of this with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply. So start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up, only takes 2 minutes, and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/NBA show. That's chime.com/NBA show. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank N.A. pursuant to a license from Visa USA Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact to score may vary, and some user scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply, except at MoneyPass ATMs, in a 7-Eleven, or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM.
All right, it is time for the Wheel of Fandom, the weekly segment where we spin a digital wheel. It lands on a random NBA team, and we become fans of that team. And this week, the Wheel of Fandom landed on the Houston Rockets, the worst team in the league, but not this week. The Rockets came into the week losers of 15 of their last 16, but the Wheel of Fandom smiled upon them, and Houston responded with an undefeated 2-0 week. On Saturday, they beat the Pistons without Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., or Alperen Şengün. Then on Wednesday, the Rockets beat a fully healthy Oklahoma City Thunder team in Houston. The Rockets are 13-38, 15th in the West. According to Cleaning the Glass, they have the 30th ranked offense and 28th ranked defense. Andrew, if the wheel landed on the Rockets, who is our guest?
The only person I want to talk Rockets with is my guy, Kelly Eco. Kelly, what's up?
Yes, sir. Hey, it doesn't matter how bad, the Rockets are. One thing I've seen, they will beat the Thunder.
Yes, we have seen that as well.
We have also seen that they won 4 in a row, which is just
It's
crazy.
The wildest NBA stat of all time, but yeah, happy to be here, guys.
So Kelly, a lot of guys were out this week, but one guy who showed up in both games was Tari Eason, who had 16 and 10 against Detroit, 20 and 13 against the Thunder, including 12 offensive rebounds on his own. He had one play where he had like a million of them. It was just insane. Going back and look at the play-by-play is just hilarious. He has the best on-off numbers on the Rockets, according to Cleaning the Glass. He looks like one of the best rookies in the class by many advanced metrics. He seems like one of, if not the most impactful players on the Rockets. So why is he only averaging 20 minutes per game?
Tari's game time, is up there with one of the, stranger things of this Rockets season. You would think a guy like that, and going back to, the whole pre-draft process, he blew them away in the interviews, and even though he didn't actually get on the court, they were just taken back with how confident he was and the things he talked about, being part of the culture reset and, bringing him in and seeing how he just finds his way to the ball. And granted, he is a wild and crazy player, but he always finds a way to make things happen. He's going to be up there in deflections, going to be up there in steals, going to be up there in blocks, offensive rebounds. He's the biggest reason why the Rockets are the top 2 or top 3 offensive rebounding team in the NBA. But still, the game time is still hovering around 20 or so minutes a game. I would chalk it up to the logjam they have at forward, going back to the whole Eric Gordon thing, KJ Martin, still trying to figure out bringing back Jayshawn Tate into the mix. And then you still have Jabari Smith Jr. It's a lot of guys that are vying for minutes to that spot. I would assume that, because he's a rookie, he's still going through the weeds of the whole rotational process. I would assume that next season, he'll have more of a, an entrenched role in the rotation. But right now, the whole season has been a mess. So, looking at Tari's minutes, you kind of see why the Rockets have played the way they have. They're a 13-win team, for crying out loud. So obviously, in terms of rotation and stuff, there's going to be, a few discrepancies and a lot of question marks. But they do understand the kind of value they have in Tari. And the biggest thing, or one of the most important things about the rebuild is trying to see the pieces that will last. And there's no doubt in my mind that, wherever the Rockets go in the next 2 to 3 years, Tari is going to be part of that core because he just has an infectious attitude of making things happen. And for a team that wants to be better defensively, for a team that wants to eventually climb out of this rebuild, you need guys like that are going to do the nitty-gritty work and have a nose for the ball.
Yeah, you mentioned Jabari Smith Jr. What's your assessment on his rookie season so far?
Up and down. I mean, his biggest strength coming into the year was supposed to be his shooting, and he struggled. I think on catch and shoots alone this season, he's shooting like 29%. Now, granted, his struggles are a byproduct of Houston's overall offensive, ineptitude in terms of just getting guys the best shots, just overall half-court execution. But defensively, at least, he's given them a bright spot in terms of being versatile, being able to switch 1 through 5. He's had a number of games where he's been able to actually strut his stuff on the defensive end, where it's timely blocks, crisp rotations, and just being that guy that wants to be aggressive on the ball. And obviously he's 6'10" with the 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. So on paper alone, he should be a guy that you can build a defense around. Now, granted, the offense will come through, but he has improved in the area of putting the ball on the ground. He's gotten a bit more confident, driving to the rim, being a little crafty around the elbows, stuff that you might not have seen so much at Auburn, because he was known as a standstill, knockdown 40% shooter. I think the shooting will improve, but his struggles are, as I said, a byproduct of Houston's seasons as a whole.
So one guy who we were complaining about not playing enough last season, who is getting minutes now, is Alperen Şengün. In his last 12 games, Şengün is putting up 18, 10, and 6, shooting 62% from the field. We saw his assist numbers jump in January with KPJ out of the lineup for most of the month.
Right.
How committed do you think this organization is to developing him as a primary offensive hub, like a Jokic or Sabonis? Is this all going to change when KPJ is back in the lineup, or do you think this recent stretch has changed things for the organization?
I think it has. I think the Rockets always knew what they had in Şengün, but the problem is when you try to juxtapose that with developing a Kevin Porter Jr., developing a Jalen Green, with the way the NBA is going, if you don't have a Jokic or a Sabonis, a lot of your offense is going to channel through your guards. And, for Kevin, who's still learning the trade of being a point guard, and for Jalen, who's still learning how to become a better playmaker, that's where their priorities were. Now, granted, if you want to say that's incorrect, that's fair. But they know what they have in Şengün. They know that Şengün is a guy that can make things easier on everyone else. And it's funny because one of the biggest talking points this season has been the Rockets trying to find a connector. And it's crazy because they had one under their nose the whole time in Şengün. He makes things easier. And, it makes more sense to kind of run more stuff through him to get guys open looks. Kevin Porter Jr. is obviously a great catch and shoot option. Other guys can do that as well. But as far as offensive hub, he has all the tools. He can make the half court reads. He can set things up. You're watching him in games, directing traffic, pointing guys where to be, getting guys out the way. The biggest question is that going to happen once Kevin Porter Jr. comes back and Jalen Green comes back, because of how much they have the ball in their hands at all times? That's going to be the biggest question. I think it'll take some time to smooth things out, because as we know, the season as a whole has been, kind of stop and start. But they understand that, at least on paper, they've seen enough games to understand what needs to be done from an offensive standpoint. The only thing is, can they carry that out from a consistent basis?
So the trade deadline's just about a week away.
Right.
What are your expectations for Houston at the deadline? And are we finally going to get to see an Eric Gordon trade?
If you're asking me, I still think so. I still think, teams from what I understand, the list has been narrowed down in terms of teams that are keen in on Eric Gordon, just trying to, play this whole thing out. I still think the NBA is in the holding pattern and they're waiting for the first shoe to drop. But in regards to Eric Gordon himself, there are a handful of teams right now that, are becoming more and more aggressive in trying to acquire him. So it's just going to take, I think there's a week left before the deadline. I think I would be surprised if he's still on the roster on February 10th, just because I just think this is the last year. I just think that everything has been building up to this point of, finally setting Eric free. But, there is obviously the school of thought that says, if they want to keep Eric, he does have a non-guaranteed deal next season. He has non-guaranteed money next season. They still have the leverage on their side in terms of, there's not a quote unquote rush to do something. But if we're going off of logistics and we're going off of optics, it just feels like we're building up to an Eric Gordon trade, in the next week or so. As far as I'm concerned, he just wants a resolution on the situation, right? In terms of if it's an extension, if it's a trade to a contender, because I think everyone is pretty much fed up with this rebuild at this point, from a veteran standpoint. But I think this is probably, if you ask me, I would be shocked if he was there past, the deadline.
So you've been writing a lot of articles about the trade deadline, and you wrote in a recent article that in prior instances involving Eric Gordon, Houston's main objective was to either secure a first-round pick or a quality young player.
Right.
But with an important offseason ahead and a plan to fortify their veteran presence, there's a willingness to get a head start on that process if the opportunity presents itself. So let's assume Gordon does get moved in this next week. What type of vets are Houston looking to add to this team? Like, are they looking for pieces that could be a part of their core, or are they looking for vets who could fill smaller roles but act as mentors for this young team?
No, they're looking for pieces that are going to be part of their core.
Okay.
A guy I've mentioned as a possibility, just want to consider, is Robert Covington, someone who's making, I think, around $12 million a year, someone who's been there before, who is a 3-and-D guy, who is a win now guy, who is, he's part of that. If you talk about culture, he's always going to be a team first, willing to do whatever it takes to win. A defensive-minded vet, that's the kind of player or mold that they want, if they're going to have to lose an Eric Gordon. Because this is going to be the last year of the Rockets having 10 to 12 guys in the roster playing, 15 or 18 minutes a game and the age 21 or younger. It's not going to happen ever again. Rebuilds take so long, but after 3 years, with all the cap space they're going to have on the books, they're going to want to add a lot of vets to this team. So I compare it to kind of like how the Phoenix Suns did it, where they had these young players, they lost a lot of games. Then they got lucky and they added Chris Paul to the mix. They developed Mikal Bridges, developed Devin Booker, developed Cam Johnson, stuff like that. The Rockets want to be in a position of strength this summer, and part of that process is bringing on guys that have been there and done that, and can help that locker room. Because one thing they've lacked this season is mentors, on-court mentors. Eric Gordon, for all intents and purposes, he's isn't going to be the guy that's going to, yell in your face or rally the troops, quote unquote. He does things by example. So some players respond to that, but some players also respond to someone's going to yell in your, kind of like a Udonis Haslem type, but like Udonis Haslem like 6 years ago. So someone that can still have some juice on his legs. But I think they will want to get that process started early if they can, because it makes things easier. Because if you already have guys on the roster that are vet, it's an easier thing to sell to incoming free agents. Like, look, we have X, Y, and Z on the roster. They added you to the mix, can even take this to another level. So that's kind of what the thinking process is right there.
So if we were to extend the Suns comparison, like if Robert Covington would be equivalent to like a Jay Crowder for them,
right?
Is there someone out there who would be that Chris Paul piece that you can see fitting on this team?
Well, it's not Kyrie, but
I was about to ask you that.
I think you could use like someone like a Fred VanVleet, someone who's a veteran point guard who's also has a presence on defense, and who he's someone who knows how to play the game. He can score. Like he's a willing passer. He's a known. He's a great playmaker. Someone like that who you could try and sell a project to with adding him to a young guy like a Jalen Green and adding him to a young guy like Jabari Smith Jr. and taking this team to another level. I think they have enough. I think they're going to have about 60, 65 million in cap. You know, if Fred VanVleet's commanding, what, half of that, maybe you could add him in another piece, maybe a Dylan Brooks. Hey, but you know, I just think that the whole Phoenix Suns model is an interesting one to follow because part of that process also involved Devin Booker taking that next step. Part of that process also involved having a guy in DeAndre Ayton that's taking that next step, in a Cam Johnson and a Mikal Bridges. You know, there are a lot of pieces to that, but I still maintain the belief that point guard is the most important position in basketball. And if you have that nailed down, it makes a lot of things easier because you can, you know, you're an extension of the coach on the floor. So you're able to, you know, get those guys organized. The Rockets' biggest problem has been organization this season. They have the talent, but if you watch them play, you know, at sometimes it looks like they don't know what they're doing out there. And that all comes down to point guard play, organization, and structure. So I think adding a guy like a Van Vliet or, you know, maybe to a lesser extent, a D'Angelo Russell, someone that has an eye for, you know, half-court IQ and getting guys on the same page.
Okay, what about James Harden? We were all
I forgot about James Harden. Yeah,
just trying to enjoy our Christmas, and ESPN had to ruin our day talking about James Harden to the Rockets. Yeah. So, like, is that a real thing from your standpoint?
Yeah, I definitely. So here's the thing about James Harden. Wherever there's smoke, there's fire. And it's been the worst kept secret in sports that James has an affinity for Houston. It's been the worst kept secret that James still spends a lot of time in Houston. He still has a lot of ties to the organization. He still has a lot of fans within the team in terms of young players that see him as, you know, that kind of person and that kind of player. So yeah, it's not crazy. It's legit. I do think that a lot of things have to happen. You know, it's depending on a lot of factors because, you know, he's playing for a Philly team that's one of the top 2-3 teams in the Eastern Conference and probably the NBA. You know, they have a shot as anyone to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe the NBA Finals. So the only way I could see something like that happening would be if Philly season went so south that, you know, coming home would, you know, be an attractive option. Because let's face it, if Philly gets to the finals or if they, you know, what would be the point of throwing that away just to come back to a project, right? So it would have to be something that they would have to flame out in the first round in 7 or get swept in the second round for him to actually. But, you know, all this thing is in theory, it's just conjecture. But it's fun to think about because you talk about point guards, he has reinvented himself as one of the league's premier point guards right now. He's averaging 11 assists a game. He obviously realizes that the way his body is set up, he's not going to be that 35-point a night scorer anymore. He doesn't have to be. Obviously, the emergence of Joel Embiid has made that job a bit easier for him to transition. But, you know, if he were to be in Houston with these guys, I mean, I think he would make a lot of things easier. He's a gift to play. Like, forget who James Harden is, the outside stuff. As far as playmakers go, he's top 5, top whatever you want to call it. He's that good of a. He's like when you watch him play, it's almost like he doesn't even want to score that much anymore. Like he wants those guys to get involved early because it makes his job easier. He doesn't want to have doing that for 5 or 6 years puts a lot of pain in your body. You know, like just going through that whole phase of high usage, 35 usage. You know what I'm saying? Like it does a lot of damage to your body, and we've seen the wear and tear effects on his body, all the hamstring injuries, the ankle injuries, stuff like that. So I think, you know, this new version of James Harden, you know, it could be a disaster. It could be one of the smartest things they ever did. You know, who knows? But it's one to think about for sure.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for answering our Rockets questions, but it is now time to play Andrew versus the Beat Rockets edition. Now, Kelly, you have played this before, and you actually remember that you had beaten Andrew the last time.
Yeah.
So you could go up too low on Andrew right here. So how this works, 8 questions all about the Rockets. You're going to give me a number between 1 and 8. It will correspond to a question. If you get it right, you'll get at least 2 points. If you get it wrong, Andrew will have a chance to steal for 1. We'll go back and forth until all the questions have been asked and answered. So I just need you to give me a number between 1 and 8.
So if I'm going to put myself in the mind of Andrew, his first question is probably the ones that are on his mind the most. So I'm going to go with 8. It's probably the one he
Question number
together.
8. Interesting strategy. Okay.
Yep.
When Eric Gordon was traded to New Orleans for Chris Paul, what else did New Orleans get in the trade? There were 3 pieces that they got in the trade.
Like, player, right? They got Emeka Okafor.
That is incorrect. Andrew, you have a chance to steal for 1 point. Can you name all 3 of the other pieces? I guess there was the Hornets at that point. Got for Eric Gordon, for Chris Paul. So you got Eric Gordon, 3 other pieces going to New Orleans.
Oh, going to New Orleans. I'm tripping.
Wait, say it all again, because I was actually reading a message from our video guy, and now I'm confused.
Andrew, you need to pay attention if you have any chance of winning this game. Okay, so when Eric Gordon gets traded from the Clippers to New Orleans for Chris Paul, it's not just Eric Gordon. There's 3 other pieces that go to New Orleans with Eric Gordon. You have to tell me what those pieces are.
Okay.
A classic trade.
I remember that.
I am like completely blanking right now. I don't know why.
Wow. Andrew.
I know it was a big man. Even once. Can I try and steal?
No. Your turn is already up. However, if Andrew fails, which it's looking likely, we'll come back to you and you can at least guess.
Was it Omer Osik in that trade?
No. Okay,
I don't
Kelly, who
remember
are you
this.
going to say?
It wasn't Okafor. I was confusing. It was the Chris Kaman.
Yeah, Chris Kaman. Okay.
Was there a pick?
One of the 3.
No, it was Chris. It was a Chris Kaman. It wasn't a pick. It was Chris Kaman, and I want to say, what is this man's name? Oh my God! Give me a hint. I know his name.
Nickname is Chief.
Alfred Camino.
Yeah, Alfred Camino. And then they got a 2012 first, which became Austin Rivers.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right, Andrew. 0-0.
I'm just thinking about the Rockets the whole time. That's why I'm confused about
Yeah,
this.
I was. Yeah.
I'm like,
all right, that's why it was the
trivia.
last question. I couldn't figure out any more Rockets questions, so I just had to choose and make one up about Eric Gordon. All right,
I told you.
Number 1.
All right, number 1. This one is about the Rockets. Here we go.
Okay, good. Okay.
Alperen Şengün is currently averaging 15-9 with 3.5 assists per game. There are only 3 other players in NBA history who averaged 15, 9, and 3 before the age of 21. One is Luka Doncic. The other 2 were drafted in the 90s. One was a number 1 overall pick. The other won a ring with the Miami Heat. Who are they? So these are 20-year-olds drafted in the 90s who averaged at least 15, 9, and 3. One was a number 1 overall
15,
pick.
9, and 3.
And the other won a ring with the Miami Heat.
Okay. 20-year-olds?
They did this. They did the 15, 9, and 3 before the age of 21.
Oh my gosh. That's what's tough in the 90s. Who is...
That's right.
'cause those guys are staying in college.
That's true, Andrew. A little tough.
That makes it really tough.
You do get 1 point
15.
for a correct answer.
I just don't know that he did this many assists. Shaq?
Shaquille O'Neal is incorrect. Kelly, you could steal for both points. So as a reminder, both these guys drafted in the 90s. One was a number 1 overall pick. The other won a ring with the Miami Heat.
So the number 1 overall pick was in the 90s?
Yeah, but it wasn't Shaq.
Was it Hakeem?
It was not.
No, because Hakeem was older, right? Like Hakeem was like 23 or something when he was drafted.
The number 1 overall pick
yeah.
was Chris Webber. 15, and then the one that surprised me, won a ring with the Miami Heat. That was Antoine Walker. Antoine Walker.
Oh,
did that.
wow.
9 and 3.
Okay.
As a 20-year-old.
Was not gonna get there.
Wow.
I know. Well, that's why I said won a ring with the Miami Heat. I mean, who else could it have been? If you
There's a
think
ton
about
of
it.
guys.
No.
Tons
That was
of
a
guys.
good question, Mr. Spears.
It wasn't Chris Quinn. Okay. Kelly, 0-0. And I
How's
forgot
it
to mark
0-0?
out the-
Whoa, hold on. How's it 0-0?
Well, you didn't get any, you guys haven't gotten
we both answered both questions
Oh,
incorrectly.
So, damn. Okay, let's
you have
go
to get them
number-
right to get points. I don't just give out the points for free.
I did get it right. I mean, I don't get half a point. Okay, that's cool.
No half points here.
Let's go number 7.
Question number 7. Okay, question number 7. Oh, this is a good one. Jalen Green had his second and third 40-point games of his career in January, joining a list of only 12 Houston Rockets who have had at least 3 40-point games. We're going to try to name the other 11. So we're going to go back and forth. So Kelly will give me a name, then Andrew will give me a name. We'll go back.
They're all Houston Rockets?
They're all Houston Rockets, and they all had at least 3 40-point games as Houston Rockets.
Okay.
So you'll give me a name, Andrew will give me a name. We'll go back and forth until one of you stumbles.
T-Mac.
Tracy McGrady is correct. Andrew.
James Harden.
James Harden. Great guess. He had a lot of them. All right, back to Kelly.
Steve Francis.
Would you believe that Steve Francis never had 3 40-point games for the Houston Rockets?
Wow.
Now, Andrew, you have to get one more correct to get your 1 point.
I have to get one more?
Yeah,
Hakeem Olajuwon?
that is correct. Okay, the other names,
Wait,
Russell
why
Westbrook
not-
did it.
Why not go? Oh, my
Russell
God.
Westbrook did it.
Yeah, he did,
in that
he
one
did.
season.
Yeah, 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, he was good that season.
Wow.
He was good that season.
Andrew, why are you so surprised? Are you a Russ hater? Ralph Sampson,
Kind of.
Calvin Murphy, Moses Malone, Elvin Hayes, Clyde Drexler, Rudy Tomjanovich, and then
I was
the one
about
that
to go to
surprised
the
me,
old
Katino
guys.
Mobley.
I should
Coutinho.
have said Mobley. That's what I meant to say instead of Steve Francis. That's crazy. I meant to say
Steve Francis
Coutinho.
didn't do it.
Wow.
Andrew, you got 1 point.
God, I'm
and the
losing.
board is yours.
Number 2.
High scoring affair. Number 2, Rockets rookie Tari Eason grabbed 12 offensive rebounds in a game against the Thunder this week. Only 3 other big men have matched that this season. How many can you name? You get 1 point per correct answer. So these are big men this season
Gosh.
who grabbed 12 offensive rebounds.
I don't even know.
Oh, boy.
So big board
Big
guys.
men that have grabbed 12 offensive rebounds. Steven Adams?
That is correct for 1 point. There's 2 more.
2 more. Offensive bounders. Jonas
Gotta think of
Valanciunas?
Boardman. Jonas Valanciunas, good guess, but incorrect. Kelly, you could get
Dang
2
it.
points here. You could name the other 2 big men who got at least
Have a
12
hint?
offensive rebounds in a game this season.
I'm a hint.
Can you can you have a hint?
In the NBA.
In the NBA,
Right.
one is a center, one is not a center.
Okay. I'm going to say is it in the Eastern Conference?
I'm not telling you that.
12
Okay.
is a lot. 12 is a lot of
12 is a
bounds, man.
lot. Okay, I'm going to say
A lot of
Zubac.
bounds. Kelly, that is correct for 1 point.
Nice.
Ooh, that was a good pull. That was a good pull. Okay, so I did give you a little hint, which I didn't think you'd help you that much, but you did name the center. So now you at least know that the other name is a non-center.
Wait, but do I have a point?
Yeah, you got 1 point. You could get another point here if you could name the third guy.
Non-center. Oh,
It's a tough one, though, I will admit.
sounds tough. But I've seen the stat before, I think. Oh, my God. Not Giannis.
It is not Giannis, though that is a good guess. It was Aaron Gordon. Aaron
That's why I
Gordon.
knew it was somebody quirky.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It was a quirky one. Okay, Kelly, you did score points, so now you're only down 1, and you have control of the board. Where would you like to go
Let's
next?
go with 4.
Question number 4. Ooh, this is a good one. What is Boban Marjanović's career high for points in a game? Now, before you answer, you get to choose who answers first. You can make Andrew answer first, and then you can go higher or lower. Or if you're
Oh
really
my
confident,
gosh.
You can answer first.
I'm gonna let my good friend Mr. Select take a stab at it because
Oh my gosh.
All right, Andrew. What do you think Boban's career high for points in a game?
Boban career high.
24.
24 is where Andrew has set the bar. Kelly, would you like to go higher or lower?
It's got to be bigger than 24. Wait. Okay, question before I answer.
Yeah.
If we both get it wrong, whoever's closest, do we get the point?
Yeah. Yeah, if you go higher and it's actually lower,
you just have to say higher or lower is all you have to say.
I'm gonna go 32.
Okay, you didn't have to choose a specific number, but you got within 1 point because it was 31, which means you get the 2 points. Boban once scored 31 points in a game.
Who was it against? And who was he playing for?
I will get you that information right now. Because I looked it up. He had a career high 31 points against the Denver Nuggets.
Wow.
Nuggets.
As a what? What was he?
That was in 2020, March 2020. They were playing basketball games.
In COVID?
Yeah, wasn't that COVID?
Bubble?
Was that in March?
Boban?
No, it was right before the NBA started. So that was like the last game.
Yeah.
Andrew, you're now down 3-2. And there are 3 questions left. You have control of the board.
Number 3.
Question number 3. There are only 2 players on the Rockets currently shooting above 35% from 3. Who are they? And you get 1 point per correct answer.
Wait.
And I will say there is a two-way guy who has hit 1 3. I'm not including him. Just regular rotation guys. There are 2 that are shooting over 35%.
But can you? Is there like a qualifier? Like you have to have played how many games or something like that?
The only qualifier is that that 1 2-way guy isn't included. Everyone else is fair game.
Everyone else is fair game.
And there's not like a guy that's like, it's not based on attempts either. Like you don't have to have a certain number of attempts.
So I'm saying,
No.
is it catched?
Nope, it's just shooting over 35% for 3. I mean, they've shot at least they've shot more than 1. The 2-way guy's named Trevor Hudgens. He's had 1 3-point attempt. He's made it, but we're not including him.
Shout out to Trevor. I think I know this. I think Usman Garuba is one of them.
Yeah, that's correct. Usman Garuba is one of the names. Andrew, can you get the other one?
And I believe the second one is our guy who we just gave all the love at the top of this, Tari Eason.
Andrew, that is absolutely correct. Wow, very impressive. Andrew, you pulled back ahead with 2 questions left.
How did you even know that?
Yeah, why did you know that? Why did you know that Usman Garuba?
It's Rockets week. It's Rockets week. I was exploring some Rocket stats earlier.
Yeah, he's shooting 46% from 3 on 0.5.
But it's like not hardly any, right? Like it's
all
on like
it's like
all nothing.
Yeah.
It's not all nothing, Andrew. Okay, it's 24 threes. Okay, that's something. It's a little something. Okay, Kelly, number 5 or number 6?
Let's go 6.
All right,
Let's go 6.
This could be good for you or it could be bad, depending on your knowledge of the Houston Rockets nicknames. Now, did you know that the Houston Rockets have relatively few nicknames on Basketball Reference? I'm going to give you 5 nicknames for Rockets players. Only one is Basketball Reference official. Which one is it? So I'm going to give you 5 nicknames. Only one of them appears on Basketball Reference.
For a player?
So the nicknames are the Bobanator, 0G, Ferrari Tari, Black Joker, or the Locksmith. Once again, that is the Bobanator, 0G.
The Locksmith.
The Locksmith is your guess as the only official Basketball Reference nickname.
I swear to God, I've heard 0G before. If that's I'm going to go the Locksmith.
He's going the Locksmith. That is a nickname for Jabari Smith Jr., but it is not on Basketball Reference. Andrew.
Say them again, please.
The remaining nicknames are the Bobanator, 0G, Ferrari Tari, or Black Joker.
Ferrari Tari.
It's a cool one, isn't it?
The Bobanator. Gosh, that can't. I don't think that's definitely not one. Say them one more time, just for my entertainment and just for my brain, because I can't keep more than one of these nicknames in my head at once. Once I hear Bobinator, like every other thought in my head just leaves.
Well, you remember the Bobinator. Zero G, Ferrari Tari, or Black Joker.
I guess I'll say Zero G. I don't have any idea.
Zero G, that is a nickname for Jalen Green, but it is not Basketball Reference official. The only one that was Basketball Reference
I'm
official.
stupid. It is Joker because of Kevin Porter Jr.
It is Black
my
Joker
God.
because of Kevin Porter Jr.
Wow. Yeah.
All right,
I didn't
Andrew.
know that one.
That means all you have to do is get this final question correct.
I can't lose to Andrew, man.
And you can win. And to let you guys know, this final question, there's 3 possible points. So,
shoot.
Yeah, this could swing it.
Question.
Okay, of the 25 most played 2-man lineups on the Rockets this season, only 3 have a positive net rating. Which 3 Rockets appear in those positive 2-man lineups? So there's 3 of these 2-man lineups. Only 3 Rockets appear in those lineups. You get 1 point per correct answer. And these are 25 most played 2-man lineups.
Who's going first? Him?
Andrew.
This is me. Yeah.
So he has to name 3 players.
That is correct.
Tari Eason.
That is correct for 1 point. Andrew, you could finish the game off right here if you can get 1 more correct. If you cannot do it, you'll have a chance to tie the game and send us into overtime.
Is there a minutes limit on this?
Oh my
God. The minutes limit is that these are the most played 2-man lineups. So
you better not say this. You better not say it. You better not say it. Hey, if I get all 3, what happens?
Well, I mean, Andrew already got 1 of them, so you don't
already got 1 of them.
2 at that point.
If I get 2, what happens? I win the game, or I go overtime?
If Andrew screws up here and you get the other 2, we'll have a tie game and we'll go into overtime. Sudden death.
Okay.
Sudden death question.
Hey, give him a time limit. He's wasting time.
You're interrupting me. What about KJ Martin?
KJ Martin. Is he in the positive net rating lineups?
Yeah, he is. He is.
He is, Andrew, for the win.
Yes.
Can you get the third guy?
Yeah, let's go double nothing. Double nothing right now. If you get,
I just won. I'm not going double or nothing on a game I just won.
But Andrew, you could get 2 trivia wins if you do double or nothing.
Does this cancel out your previous win? I'm not doing that. No. Last one. I was asking about the minutes limit because of Jayshawn Tate, but
it's Garuba.
It is actually Alperen Şengün.
Oh,
Alperen
Şengün?
Şengün.
Oh, it's gone up since recently. Oh, yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, the Şengün and like Eason minutes are pretty interesting. I think they've only played like 300 minutes together, but they're pretty spicy.
Well, I was sad when I heard that you weren't going to be in Salt Lake before. Now I'm even more sad that I can't rub it in your face in person in Salt Lake City. But are you going to be in Oklahoma City tomorrow?
God, no.
Dang it. I really, really wanted the opportunity. Okay. Kelly, thanks so much for coming on. Go read Kelly on The Athletic. He's great. He's got lots of really fun trade pieces out there right now involving the Rockets. So go read those. Kelly, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Peace out.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Rocket Money. Visit rocketmoney.com/NBA show for more information. Did you guys know that the average person has like 12 paid subscriptions? Think about that. If you think you've only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to go and double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all your unwanted subscriptions. Like, you know that streaming service you got just to watch that one TV show but you haven't used again? Well, with Rocket Money, you can cancel it very easily. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they've just completely forgotten about. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify the subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Simply find the subscriptions you don't want and press cancel. Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/NBA show. That's rocketmoney.com/NBA show. rocketmoney.com/NBA show.
All right, Andrew, that was Rockets week. They went 2-0. Pretty good work for the Wheel of Fandom. Let's see who we get this week. We still have 18 teams remaining. A lot of good teams on here. Again, would love to get a team that's involved in the trade deadline. Is Brooklyn? Have we done Brooklyn? We have not. Brooklyn is a possibility. Let's spin the wheel and see what we get. This week's Wheel of Fandom team will be the Los Angeles Clippers. Okay, that's pretty juicy for trade deadline week.
That's a good trade deadline week one for sure. Because they're gonna do something. I don't know what it's gonna be, but they're gonna do something.
Hey, maybe it's trading Robert Covington to the Houston Rockets.
Maybe a little foreshadowing from Slam and Jam, right for your trade deadline right there. Okay, something else that you can do is leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and that will get your name read on the podcast. So our first one comes from T.FYL, IOI7CB8H/:Y8U98. We're having this 2 weeks in a row that we've had a bot.
Have we set up a bot to leave us positive reviews?
I don't know. It says 5 stars. Great show.
Okay, thank you.
Took a little longer to read the name than it did the review, but we still very much appreciate it.
Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
I was just looking at the schedule. Guess who the Clippers play this week? At the Knicks. At the Nets.
Oh, very good.
And then Dallas, ESPN next Wednesday.
Wow. That's great. That's great for the wheel. Good job, wheel. Okay, next one. Last one. From Mr. Noodle Arms in Great Britain. 5 stars. Before I read this review, Alex, I just want to say I do think the Thunder need to trade at least 2 firsts and Poku, a first in our hearts, for Julius Randle at the deadline.
Okay.
His brand of bully ball is exactly what we need to Mr. Noodle Arms Chet. Otherwise, great pod all the way from England. XOXO. Thank you so much for that review. And that's just proof that I will read what you write as a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts on the show. So please do that. Hope you guys enjoy the weekend, the basketball, and the juicy trades. And we will talk to you guys again next week.